Now, I'm going to ask Colin in a moment about a couple of people, but I did get him at one stage to pick his best Australian 11 post the Second War. He nominated Bradman as a pre-war player to make things easier, but that's his lineup. I'm not sure that everyone can see that. Opening Arthur Morris and Bill Lawry, two left-handers, followed by Neil Harvey, Greg Chappell, Steve Waugh, followed by Keith Miller, Adam Gilchrist. I don't think Gilchrist was necessarily the best keeper Colin had regard for, but he's in that team for various obvious other skills. Richie Benno as captain, Shane Warne, Lily McGrath with Ray Lindwall their 12th man. Do you want to comment on any of those, Cole? You mentioned in the car a couple of reservations, perhaps?
I did that one about 4 years ago. I certainly wouldn't even consider anyone else excepting Arthur Morris as the greatest Australian opening batsman since the Second World War. I've got Bill Lawry in there. I think it's reasonable to suggest that Hayden or Mark Taylor should be considered. Well, I did consider them, and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave Lawry there. Bill Lawry was a great player, make no mistake. Hayden, of course, was excellent, but it does help if you make 380 against Zimbabwe if you're going to look at averages. Neil Harvey, no question. Neil Harvey and Arthur Morris are the two best players since the war. Greg Chappell, I think, is a very great player, and wouldn't question having him there still. Steve Waugh, the only query I put there is not against Steve as a player, he was great. I think Michael Clarke, given another 2 or 3 years, may be in the same class. So I just have a question mark with Steve Waugh, possibly Michael Clarke. Keith Miller, very great bowler, a great all-rounder, should be mentioned in the same breath as Gary Sabers. He was also pretty good at other things off the cricket field. Adam Gilchrist would have got into my best Australian team ever as a batsman. But you don't need to pick a specialist wicketkeeper, he'll do. Gilchrist, a very great player. Richie Benno, the second greatest spinner ever, probably. Not in the same league as Warne, but excellent bowler and a very fine captain. Shane Warne's there, don't need to say any more. Dennis Lilly, I had to compare him with Ray Lindwall. I think Lilly stays in that team. Len McGrath, superb cricketer. I wish you'd put two N's on his name there.
We'll fix that afterwards.
And Ray Lindwall, 12th man. It was hard to put Ray Lindwall 12th man because he was great, but that's the best I could do for him because he was probably a slightly better bowler than Miller, but not by much. And the Miller was a magnificent all-rounder. So that's my team.
Cole, we've mentioned Bradman and we've mentioned Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne. How would Bradman have gone against McGrath and Warne?
How would Bradman, yes. I would think, well, Bradman averaged 99.94, I think, didn't he? I think if he played against Warne and McGrath, he would have averaged 99. Occasionally, Warne would get him out. Occasionally, Bradman would take plenty off him, perhaps 80. But Bradman would handle them both. But McGrath would keep him in line for a while, but Bradman was Bradman.